Welcome back, everybody, to the Derby City Fandom podcast. Today, it is part of my glorious purpose to discuss the end of, I think, my new favorite Marvel property, Loki.
You said it's your favorite. Earlier, you were bashing it.
No, I was telling you that I was going to be a critic. You can be a positive critic.
I mean, there's a couple bad parts, but for the most part, like I love that. I love the Loki series. So here we go.
Yes.
Get the boxing gloves ready.
Sure, but as the guy with the biggest chair in the room, I get to make the decision. So we are going to do...
Size doesn't matter.
Oh, boy.
You hear that, ladies? Size does not matter. It may be small, but at least it's cute.
You know what does matter? Is friendship.
Friendship, yes. And maybe, like, you know, how many times you watch some poor bastard get turned into spaghetti.
Yeah, that was...
Victor got it bad.
I did feel bad for him after a while. I'm like, man, this guy's just being raised to be slaughtered over and over and over.
Yeah, so assuming that when Loki asked Ouroboros, like, okay, how long would it teach you to tell me everything you know? He's like, yeah, probably about a century.
And then
so bare minimum that he repeated that, like, 5-minute span.
Come on, that was
365,000 times.
That was one of the coolest, like, cutaways, though, right? Like the black screen, like, it was
right?
Centuries later.
Bare minimum 1 century. There is so many times that he's gone through just a 5-minute span to learn, like, maybe like half a second more of information.
Yeah, it was so fun to watch, and that's why I think I love the finale. I absolutely love the season 2 finale, but it was such clever writing of how they did it all, because they did it in a very fun, energetic, exciting way. But then it was, you know, progressed the episode along. It was perfect. I absolutely loved it.
Sure.
All right, here comes the critics. Colin, over.
How did Loki wrap up, according to the internet?
What's up, guys? I'm here.
Yes.
But according to the internet, now, this may just be the last episode, or
I think they do Loki as a whole. Like,
but when I was scrolling through IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, well, no, just IMDb, it was doing individual episodes. So for the last episode, this is what the score was. So just keep that in mind. Or it might be the whole, I don't know. But for Rotten Tomatoes, it was a whopping 81%.
I believe it. I agree with the internet.
But
I think Colin's wrong.
IMDb put it at a whopping 96%.
Even better.
I think that
96 seems high, but
no, I think that's about appropriate. Like, as we were kind of like discussing earlier, a little bit off mic, you know, there is a short list of kind of gripes here and there, but it's overall like very well written. Everything's acted out super well. Yeah, sound design's great.
Casting's good, writing's good. Visually looked awesome. Clever parts.
It's like I talked about it in our like first impressions videos. It's that, you know, they're making time travel make sense.
No.
Yes and no. But
No,
they follow their own rules.
No.
See,
no. Ever since Endgame and time travel and all that bullshit, they have never, not once, followed the rules of time travel.
Yeah, but this was portrayed in the TVA, so it's outside of time. That's how they got around it, Colin.
Yes.
Anyway,
that's part of it.
Part of the reasons why.
That's
part of the reasons why I love the Loki season 2, but more so Loki season 1 is it acted as a really good standalone. So yeah, you could be very critical of the other MCU movies, series, whatever, but this one to me, they focused on the character. So like they actually focused deep dive on Loki. And I absolutely love that. Like you saw the progression of Loki being the antagonist, you know, Thor's piece of shit little brother.
He's adopted.
Yeah, he's adopted. But not that there's anything wrong with it. Love you, Matt Tucker. But they focus on Loki, like the character development of him, so it makes for an amazing standalone series, and I just absolutely love that. It was like a breath of fresh air, especially with all the flops that Marvel has been getting year over year.
Sure. Now, I think that this is a great way to just wrap that character up, how they end the particular season here.
You think he's done?
Yes. Well, I'm pretty sure Hiddleston himself has said, so like, this is a good conclusion to Loki's 14 years of being in the MCU.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think about that. He started acting as Loki when he was like 29, 28. Now he's in his 40s.
Yeah. It's kind of funny to think about because Loki has been in the MCU now longer than Thor was.
Yeah.
So he's had more screen time than Thor has.
All right, I'm going to jump in.
Go ahead.
So back to your point, Jake. The show is, in fact, called Loki. But in my opinion, the heart of the series really belongs to Sylvie.
Sure.
And ironically, the heart of the problem is actually
Sylvie.
Sylvie.
Yeah, it always was.
But she's still a Loki.
Exactly.
So you're agreeing with me then.
But at the same time, she is different.
You know, the whole variant thing.
Yeah, she's a variant of Loki. I see what you're saying. Hey, I'm not disagreeing with that. I loved all the characters. Sylvie was amazing too. And I think I just enjoyed this so much because you didn't necessarily have to watch every other MCU film and series and all that to understand it. Like, this could act as a very standalone series that someone who just is interested in comic book characters or sci-fi or whatever, you could just watch it and understand what's going on because it's so focused on that Loki, and that's my opinion.
Sure.
Sure.
It would be a very different series if the Hulk had taken the elevator. In season 1, if Hulk had taken the elevator, it would be a very different show.
So, back to what I was saying. My second thing is, yes, Loki, Tom Hiddleston's character, he overall did find his purpose in life.
Yes.
He, pretty much the whole series ended up the last 2 episodes being like a no-win scenario, and Loki, I guess, makes the Captain America says, make the sacrifice play. He ends up making the sacrifice play, if you will, at the very end, and going out into the gangway and doing that whole thing.
Yes.
So, do I think that Loki essentially is done, or Tom Hiddleston is done? I think Loki, it's not necessary for season 3. I think it should just end now.
Yes. They have not confirmed there to be a season 3.
And
so
I would be
believe it
okay
is
if
done.
there was not a season 3. But
I agree.
The character Loki as a whole, I think we will see him again, but it's going to be on the big screen.
Okay.
I agree with Colin. I think they will not make a season 3, and I hope they don't, because I really liked how they wrapped all this up. But I don't think Tom Hiddleston's done. I think we'll see Loki again if they make another Thor or some meetup film. Hell,
I don't want another Thor. I'm sorry. I'm just.
They're in the bad graces again, but that's its own can of worms, I suppose.
Get another freaking popular song, with. At first it was like Led Zeppelin, and then it was Guns N' Roses. What's next? Keep the like classic songs that everybody's like, oh yeah, this is a good one. Keep that with Guardians of the Galaxy, but don't roll it over onto Thor, because that's
It didn't happen to work the one time they tried.
yeah, right.
All right, boys. Where do we want to go next here? So, I think that this would be kind of like a good opportunity to talk about like the different aspects of the seasons that we like. Like, what chunk of episode do we think is good and important or whatever?
The last episode of each season.
Okay. I mean, you're not wrong.
I will say this, Kenny. I like both of the seasons, but I like season 1 a lot better.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I actually agree with that, Jake, because there's a lot to process in season 2, and a lot of it was just, it felt so like convoluted in a way, and they were trying to just throw so much at you, like science terminology and this, that, and the other, and the storyline just, it was good, but it definitely felt rushed in a way. Whereas season 1, I think they kind of took their time a little more.
I think the plot of season 1 was slightly different, and they could spend more time on, you could see this relationship building. And I had a fun time watching that. Like, I had a fun time watching Loki and Mobius become buddies.
Yeah.
Does that kind of make sense?
Like the buddy cop
dynamic
forming, the bromance.
Yeah, the bromance, all the dynamics, all the different variants of Loki getting together. Like, to your point, seeing Loki and Sylvie kind of, I don't know, you got to experience these bonds, and it was fun to watch. Where season 2 was definitely a little bit more rushed. I don't know if they needed more time, or if that was kind of one of the issues. Like, they try to make it to this bigger, the whole universe is in trouble kind of thing. But I'm like, I don't know, it wasn't necessary. Like, I tuned in because I was like, I want to see Loki and Mobius like shooting the shit more, and so I like season 1 a lot better because of that.
Sure, and I think you are, I guess, correct. Season 2 is definitely more of there's a problem, and I'm the only one that can solve it kind of mentality. Mm-hmm. So I have to figure out how to not have everything become a bunch of pasta on the floor.
Spaghetti?
Yes, the spaghettification, as they say. That being said, the only real episode that we get of like the whole buddy cop, like Mobius and Loki, like, just working together, being dudes, is when they're trying to find Renslayer, Miss Minutes, and Victor Timely at the
at the World Fair.
At the World Fair, yes.
Oh, in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
That was an interesting one, and it took a lot of acting. I don't think I could pull it off, but for him to pull off that stutter.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I don't think I could do that as an actor. I mean, I don't think
It's
I could
very
act personally.
unnatural to stutter if you don't already like inherently have one.
Sure.
So, kudos to Majors there, but
yeah. So that was your favorite episode? Is that what you said?
No, I was just pointing out that was like the one episode of the Mobius and Loki doing TVA BS.
Well, it almost drops off because before, like, Mobius and all of them forget who each other, are, they're going different timelines and whatnot. Besides Sylvie knows, but
oh yeah, after the loom fails,
after episode 3 or 4, it's like it's all a brand new, fresh start, pretty much. And that kind of sucks. Because I tuned in, like I mentioned, I tuned in. I was like, I was looking forward to the banter and Loki being bros.
That was because the timelines were branching infinitely, and while simultaneously also like pruning themselves to an extent. Because that's what the limb was designed to do all along, as we find out.
So that scene where Loki is like in the hallway and he's looking at the elevator door and Sylvie's trying to open it and the phone's ringing.
Yeah,
y'all remember that scene? So I think we talked about it before, like who we were expecting to have pruned Loki. Do y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Or maybe this was like in a group text or something. Maybe this wasn't in the podcast. I don't remember. But I kind of have a feeling like that might have been Loki. But anyway, that's not where I was going with this. I got this like Matrix vibe with the telephone.
Sure. I think that's kind of the purpose that
you think
at this point in time
there's like
time is cyclical or whatever, right? So we have to have Loki basically reenact scenes he's already been in, but from a different angle.
Yeah.
So I had made the prediction that Renslayer was the one that had snuck up behind him to prune him because of how the silhouette play works. It had to be somebody smaller, so it couldn't be like B-15. It couldn't have been any of like the normal hunters. But the person that has the same silhouette as Loki, happens to be Loki, so it works out.
Yeah.
And the only reason why he would think to go down that particular hallway is because that phone was ringing.
Yep.
And it was ringing in both episodes. From when it first happened back in episode 1, titled Ouroboros. And then later, when he has his time slipping issues again.
Which, by the way, pretty much stole the whole series. Season, sorry. No, series. I think
You like the time slipping aspect?
I'm talking about Obi.
Obi, yeah,
for sure.
Stole
Yeah, that's my favorite parts is the whole Obi scene. Yeah, especially in the first few episodes when you like first get to meet him and get his personality. And,
yeah,
for sure.
And of course, it's on purpose that his name is Ouroboros because everything is cyclical in regards to him. That it was inspired by Victor Timely, who was inspired by Ouroboros because of shenanigans with Miss Minutes and Renslayer.
They never really.
It's a paradox within itself, so it's hard to explain.
What were your thoughts on Renslayer at the finale? They kind of left it. Did she get eaten? Do you think?
She gets completely wiped off the map by Eliath at the edge of time.
They kind of. I think that's kind of.
She gets it real bad. Like she's just like, oh, I'm going to get pruned, and now I'm going to get eaten by the time monster.
You know, Colin, you kind of said like, maybe they needed more time, a couple more episodes or something. And that's one aspect of like the Renslayer. They built her character up to be like, oh, let's be this huge antagonist, but then she just kind of falls off the cliff, and then we see her just a glimpse at the very end, like, oh well, I gotta do something with her. So we'll just get her eaten by the cloud monster.
Yeah, which is interesting, right? But it's one of those things where he doesn't really explain it, but he just, like, he who remains is just like, yeah, I just want to erase everybody's memories just because. And the only person that remembers is Miss Minutes. And you find out that, oh, Miss Minutes has been with him the entire time.
Man, don't be trusting the AI clock, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
No, thank you.
Freaking AI, man. It's going to be the end of the world with that shit.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you all want to add?
Well, so
I got a question for you all. It kind of goes back to my standalone comment. Do you all think for the future of the MCU, do you think we'll see more of these standalone type series where it's kind of focused on characters, or do you think they'll double down on the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the interconnectedness kind of movies and series building off of each other.
The team-up movies?
Yeah, not necessarily team-up movies, but just, you have to watch something else to get that. And, the interconnectedness of all the universe. Because I feel like you could actually watch this without seeing anything else and you'd be fine. But you cannot say that for nearly anything else in the MCU. So you think MCU going forward will focus more on something like this? Or do you think this is kind of like a one-off thing, and it is what it is?
I mean,
Go ahead, Colin.
They're gonna do more standalone. Oh, they have to. They're gonna have to do more WandaVision. They're gonna have to do more Hawkeye, even though I could care less about Hawkeye, to be honest with you. But yeah, like anything that's out there currently that we feel that is not up to par, they're gonna finish that off. Now, are they gonna add more characters? I don't know. But if they do, it better be fucking good.
Yeah. It's one of those things where the solo, like, character-focused media properties that they have do better just financially and critically in general. Mine, with a couple of exceptions here and there, of course, but we see that Loki has been a success. Like, arguably, like, there is nothing wrong with this. Watch it, you'll have fun,
Yeah.
right? Like, you won't regret having seen it. Some of the other things that Marvel has released over the years has not been in that category, so I think they're kind of learning that, oh, hey, if we can get some good writers, a good director, good like production involved, then we can actually make something like memorable and special and give these actors and actresses that have been tied to Marvel for the better part of 2 decades at this point,
Yeah.
like a way to, I guess, maybe not like write themselves like out, but to have like their character arc come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
So I think that is what they did with Tom Hiddleston. Granted, we are probably thinking that he's going to show up in like a big movie, but probably not anything smaller than like in Avengers.
Yeah. No, I think they gave Loki a great send off in terms of this series. I absolutely loved the finale of season 2. I loved the entire season 1 even more. And where my mind goes is, would you be willing to rewatch it? Rewatch the series or rewatch a movie? And there's certain, like Iron Man 1 and the original Avengers, and there's certain movies that I'd probably be willing to rewatch over and over. And I would definitely throw Loki season 1 into that.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan. I really enjoyed it. I hope there's more to come like it. And yeah.
What y'all think of Brad?
He is just awful. Like, granted, that's what his character is supposed to be, but it takes a special sort of somebody to be okay with squishing like half a dozen people in a small square.
I mean, his eyes kind of like squinted, looked away, but then he had that little smirk on his face.
Whatever
Yeah.
happened to him? I don't remember.
Well,
he got pruned. No, he
No,
didn't get
he's-
pruned. No, he pruned
he
Renslayer.
pruned Renslayer.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually just somewhere because you don't see what happens to him. He prunes
No.
Renslayer, and then all the time, like, slipping happens where he's trying to learn from OB over centuries. Like, he's just not included after that episode.
Yeah.
So that is kind of like a weird gripe that I have, is that,
They lost.
this trader guy is just kind of hanging out now.
Yeah.
So I have to assume that he's like locked up in that one room that they interrogate everybody in.
But he was left in the meeting room, not the interrogation room.
Yeah, well, whatever happened to him, it happened off camera, so there's no like finality to his arc, right?
I'm interested to know, but at the same time, if nothing comes of it, I don't think I'd be upset about it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yes.
Any last things y'all want to talk about, or you want to do closing thoughts?
Well, I mean, there's, I guess, just other fun little nods here and there, like just in regards to like, okay, they bring up that Quantum Mania was happening.
I like that. You didn't like
Yeah.
that?
No, I'm just pointing it out that, okay, they have confirmed that the quantum verse, whatever you want to call it, is adjacent to the sacred timeline. So it's like you have like the sacred timeline, and then you have like the sacred timeline of the quantum verse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's some fun. And basically the TVA becoming basically just Kang the Conqueror hunters, because that is all they do now.
Pretty much.
Yeah, now that Loki had turned the sacred timeline into Yggdrasil, basically that's like what the reference is, like, the realm tree from Norse mythology and all that.
Yeah. Which is then you see that in the closing, like the last few minutes, on like a poster on the wall.
Yes. them tending to the tree as opposed to like clipping off branches. They're watering it instead.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's some fun like little details and nods. One other details that I liked is after we see how Loki's friends that he's made along the way, like what their normal lives were, a lot of their different characteristics of their past lives, even if they like forgot them, still somehow made it into the TVA. Like Mobius was a jet ski salesman. So he had like this weird fascination to jet skis even when he was in the TVA and had no idea what a jet ski was, but he was just like,
It's more like a whisper.
yeah, it's just like, man, these things, like, just look at the design on these things. Like, he's selling himself on something that he used to sell. So that's some fun detail there. We see that B-15 used to be a nurse.
Yep.
Was really good with actually, like, working with kids and getting people to, like, see, like, her, I guess, perspective. Be like, hey, you know, climbing that tree probably broke your arm. You're going to do it anyways, but I'm going to tell you not to do it because that's my job. And then, like, you know, just kind of like laugh it off and be like super nice and sweet to the little girl that had broken her arm with her mother in the background, just kind of like laughing and smiling. And I thought it was just a nice little touch that she wrote on the cast. Be like, don't climb trees.
Just a reminder.
Just a reminder.
I would encourage that kid to climb trees.
Sure. Yeah, Casey was an interesting one because he was actually supposed to be Frank Morris.
Correct.
Which, Jake, if you don't know who Frank Morris is, he was one of the 4 people that attempted to escape Alcatraz back in '62.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know, the escape attempt that supposedly succeeded because they never found any evidence of them drowning, basically, in the bay.
Nope.
So it is assumed that they were like one of the few people to actually have escaped. And with him actually being a robber and him being removed from time, plays into that kind of mythos as well. It's like, oh, he just kind of magically disappeared. Why did he magically disappear? Oh, because he got abducted by the TVA. No big deal.
I don't know. I kind of.
Yeah, just some fun details.
I think I'd rather rob banks.
He's just like, so that thing can take me anywhere?
Can it take
Like,
me to
inside a vault.
To like a bank vault? It's just like, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like his just like character flip was just fantastic. I love that. OB stayed the same. Like he was just like
Nerd.
He
right.
becomes a successful writer at the TVA, though.
Well, yeah.
Bestseller.
And I appreciate that he actually credits Victor Timely in the TVA manual, which then becomes even weirder because then Victor Timely gets another copy of the TVA manual just without the influence of like Miss Minutes and Renslayer to be like in like the background. So
Yeah, but Loki gave him that.
but Loki did, yeah.
Yeah.
Just because he wanted, I felt like he had gotten to know Victor Timely, and Victor Timely was able to convince Sylvie not to kill him when Loki could not. So there's that.
I would have killed Sylvie. I don't think it would have taken me centuries to do it. I think I probably, maybe like 6 months or so. I mean, you fall in love with yourself, but to save the world, if you will, yeah, I'd kill myself.
All right. Jeez.
Was that a little dark?
Just a little bit.
On that note.
On that note, what else? I guess just some other like fun, memorable moments. I like Dox's like last words being like, "Hey, Renslayer, you have to live with the idea that all of us in here are not walking out that door with you."
Oh, yeah.
because we are not going to be your followers. And then they all die horribly, but it was
wish they would have shown, like, when what's her face came in and she saw the aftermath. I wish.
Well, you wanted to see just like the pile of gore.
The pile of God,
you're messed up, man.
Why not? Maybe I don't know. I think it would have been cool.
One of the funniest moments for me from the series was Loki. He goes through the century of repeating the same stuff, and then he timely. He's like, "All right, when you get there, don't set it down on the walkway or whatever it is, because it will roll
on
off.
the gangway, yeah, because it
It
will roll off."
He's so patient and calm. It's like, okay.
Well, here's the thing: like, he's patient and calm, but also the way like Hiddleston portrayed it is that he's just so dead inside because he's had to repeat these moments so many times that he's just like,
Don't set it down.
Don't set it down. Don't set it down.
One thing that I actually went back and like rewinded it just a few seconds, but when they are in the hallway and they first showed the hot cocoa machine, I thought it said hot fucking cocoa, but obviously it said hot fresh cocoa, but like I thought I don't know. I just saw a giant F and then small lettering. And I was just like, wait, what? And so I rewinded. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah,
gotcha.
that obviously makes sense. But that's where my head went in that little.
Fair enough. So how did you all think about how Loki actually interacted with He Who Remains? Like how they basically show off that both of them have like this mastery over time at the very end of the show.
Man, actually, I kind of thought that scene was kind of cool. I enjoy their interaction. You know, like he's just He Who Remains just sitting in the chair, and he's like, "Let's do this a couple more times." And he has like the little armrest right there, and he's just like, boom, just chilling back. And then they have their whole like fight sequence, whatever. But I think the part that stuck out the most is like He Who Remains is talking to Loki. Meanwhile, Loki is just, back face towards sitting up, like leaning up against the desk there. I don't know why, but like I feel like in that moment, everything that I'm being told, I think that's something that I personally would have done as well. It's just like, well, fuck. All right, how am I gonna?
How many times can I repeat this and have it actually be different each time?
Yeah. Like, what do I gotta do to like break the circle here? Or whatever the phrase I'm looking for there.
Break the cycle. Yeah.
That's the word. Thank you. Yeah, but I actually kind of enjoyed that. I kind of wish it was a little darker and deeper because I feel like Jonathan Majors' character, I think that's really what that particular, well, really any of the variants are about. They're kind of like dark and sadistic and that kind of, Right,
which we get to the weird point where He Who Remains is still technically one of the better Kang variants, right? But he's also just kind of come to the conclusion himself that this is the only option, and Loki would not accept it.
I mean,
which is fair.
I mean, he manipulated the whole thing, right? So he obviously knew, like, yeah, Loki is selfish, so he's not gonna make that, air quotes, sacrifice play. So I'm gonna play into that, and let's see how many times he can.
How many times we can do this
over and over and over again?
Him just holding his hand up and like, this is not the first time we've had this conversation.
Yeah,
like when Loki does that back to He Who Remains is a fantastic moment because it just shows that okay, Loki has also gotten to the point where he has the same sort of power
to stop time
that He Who Remains has. And he's doing all of his through like different tech things.
Right.
But Loki has something that He Who Remains doesn't have, and it's magic.
Yep.
And magic in this particular scenario is distinctly different from time. Which is crazy to think about because just in terms of like fantasy and fiction, like time manipulation and magic are usually the same category.
Yeah, I enjoyed that scene a lot.
Yeah.
Jake?
No, I'm right there with you. No, I agree completely. I thought the whole the writing of that whole concept was awesome, and specifically that season, the episode you guys are talking about when they're going back and forth, and you finally realize Loki
comes to the conclusion.
Up.
Yeah,
he's caught up.
Yeah,
But then he inevitably goes back and he has that little sit down with Mobius.
oh, that was such a good moment. That was such a good moment.
And, you know, he kind of like, I know what you're going to say. And you got this, that, and the other. And then he just, you know, pretty much like flips the script. And that whole little, what's the word?
I don't know. Sequence?
Yeah, let's go with sequence where Mobius is basically giving a story where we find out that Renslayer was his partner.
Right. That made the decision when he could not.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that coming, honestly. I didn't realize that Renslayer was his
Oh, that was the
partner
dynamic, yeah.
back in the day. So that was probably the only real surprise there for me. Pretty much everything else, I kind of...
Yeah, I didn't see that coming either. I thought they were going to play some like love interest thing, but
yeah.
glad they didn't. I think it worked out.
I would have killed the kid personally, but...
Oh my gosh!
I mean, you're hired to do a job, do the fucking job.
Yeah, fair enough.
Otherwise, you're gonna get replaced. Literally pruned, and somebody else will just take your place.
Yeah, well,
No comment.
no comment. Oh, jeez.
Maybe I'm just a little sadistic. I don't know.
Possibly.
Somebody here has to be.
If you want to fill that role, you can.
No, we can't all be goody two shoes.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well,
It was a fun ride.
it was a good ride. I enjoyed it. I think people as a whole have enjoyed what Loki has offered. There's not too many questions left, which is kind of what I like the best, as opposed to, I don't know, it's like Secret Invasion, for say, like the other big like series that Marvel's had.
You know, Hawkeye, WandaVision, Hulk, She-Hulk, sorry, and so on.
Yeah. She-Hulk is like the weird exception because of how breaking the fourth
She-Hulk
wall works.
sucked.
It's okay for her, for that character, because that's what that character does.
Sure.
Best part of She-Hulk was the Hulk. I'll
What,
say it.
episode 1?
Yeah,
2?
I'll say it.
Oh,
Anyways, back to Loki.
It was good. Go watch it if you haven't.
Kenny, where can you find us?
So, if you are looking for some more fandom content, be it Marvel, be it Star Wars, be it Disney, be it DC, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us anywhere you can stream a podcast.
Instagram.
Instagram as well.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We got all kinds of content on there. Funny memes, reels. We got some upcoming content as well.
Do we have any content about Godzilla on there?
Yes. So
That is in the process.
that is in the process.
All right.
Going over both the MonsterVerse as well as the newest thing, which you all probably haven't seen the numbers yet, but it's making all kinds of money over in Japan right now. But Godzilla -1 is doing very well.
Stay tuned.
That will be out in the first weekend or so of December.
There you go.
So expect us to be talking about Godzilla here shortly. All right. Thank you, everybody.
See you, everybody.
See you.
Deuces.